Hey everyone, sorry I'm gonna be a little more quiet on this video. Everyone's asleep at my time and I'm up making Myers-Briggs videos. So, Core, I think it was her name, she requested an ENFP versus ENTP video, and that's pretty, I've thought about it a lot because when I first typed myself, and this will come to an absolute shock to all the people who have been saying I'm ENFP, I first typed myself as ENFP. However, I discovered Myers-Briggs when I was in a very stressful situation, and just going through a lot of emotions, and I hadn't before, and everything was just off, and all my thoughts, it's I guess, I don't know, I might have been going into my shadow functions. I'm still not well versed in that, but so I typed myself as ENFP. I also didn't understand the types as well, because I saw the letters individually, and as I got further along, I began to get a picture of each type as a whole, and as I got further along, I began to understand the functions and how that fits into them, and now I don't even judge by the letters, because you've got the functions and you've got extroverted, introverted types of the functions, and so you just can't judge by the letters alone, because you're a feeler. Well, are you extroverted feeling or introverted feeling? They're different. So I misjudged myself, and after a while, I realized, oh yeah, I'm not ENFP. I'm not, because I kept reading it, and I was like, these things fit, but these things don't, and I don't feel like I make decisions based off of my feelings. That's kind of a funny way to say it. I don't feel like I make decisions based off feeling. But I don't say let's make a list of pros and cons, but I learned further along that that's actually more a J and or extroverted thinking type thing to do. I just don't have the time to do it in my head. I think about the logistics, and it was confusing at first. However, as I got further along, I figured I was ENTP for sure. That only took a few months, and watching my ENFP friend and realizing, no, I'm not like you. This is very different, but very similar at the same time. ENTPs, I think, are likely to be confused with INTPs and ENFPs, depending on the person. Inside, I feel pretty introverted, but it depends on what I'm talking about and who I'm around, how reserved I am. So sometimes I confuse as INTP, and sometimes I'm not. And I do have ENFP sides. As I explained in one of my comments, I've worked on developing my F functions over the past 2 years, just because I think that T's can kind of block those out, and it's not like I went in and was like, okay, now I'm going to develop my introverted feeling, but I went in and said, I clearly am lacking serious empathy, or sympathy or anything. I'm good at connecting with people, but the actual genuine emotions and empathy and not being fake, empathy, I'll see horrible things and not feel a thing. Well, meanwhile, my INFP friend is freaking out, and I'm I feel so bad because this is a horrible situation and I should be feeling things by seeing it, but I'm not. Just emotions are difficult to connect with. I have a hard time connecting with any emotions or feeling them. They're there, but I have to dig deep to get them. So I can get confused with the ENFP though, just because I've worked on being able to relate to people better, and I do have a bit of a INFP side to me, just not necessarily in that, well, just because just with my passion for things, I think it come out as kind of INFP-ish or NFP-ish, because there are certain things that I just love, and so like things like nature and stuff. I feel a little more like, and I allow myself to, because I don't think it's good to say I'm a T, so now I'm going to be a T, or I'm an F, so now I'm going to be an F, and just ignore the rest of it. I think it's good to acknowledge that you aren't all 100% mind, you're not 100% heart, you have both, and to not feel like it's a bad thing, to not feel like it's a bad thing to be a little colder, or not to feel like it's a bad thing to feel things into, or whatever. So after realizing that, I've worked out developing my F function a lot, and I've also had a mentor who's an INFP, and that's really influenced me, because she helps me to guide me, and when you're guided by someone who's an INFP, you tend to be driven in that direction. So that went on a totally different tangent, but I've thought about it a lot. And especially observing ENTPs and ENFPs that I've known, because you get a different perspective when you're watching from the outside. I think one of the main things to me that sticks out between ENFPs and ENTPs, ENFPs have, when I talk to an ENFP, it's like major introverted feeling driven. For example, so I met this ENFP one time, and we became friends enough that I could talk with him about like Myers-Briggs and stuff. Well, that being said, I've talked to Myers-Briggs with people who I don't know that well, so it's not like I needed to be super good friends with him. But you just gotta have the obsession. But I brought it up with him. I was like, do you know about Myers-Briggs? Because to me, Myers-Briggs is a good starting place with understanding people. There's a certain point where it's practically useless, because you've got, okay, you're an ENFP, but there's so much more. And so, but I like to figure out their types at the beginning, and then I can go from there. So I asked him, and he was like, I don't know what that is. I said it's a personality type thing and such, and he's like, well, only I know who I am. Like, I can't have someone else telling me who I am. Only I know the real me. And I'm like, it's not what it is. It's no. I was just thinking it's not something that defines you. It's not something that tells you like you need to be. You are who you are, sure, but you can use it as a tool. So I'm like, and I'm just thinking this in my head, but I'm like, don't debate, like, that doesn't get you anywhere, that just makes people hate you. So his reaction was very introverted feeling. It was like the ideas of morals and I guess morals is the best way I can describe it, just that kind of introverted feeling ideas. And that's where a lot of the paths with ENFPs go. I know, like, so for example, if you asked, so like, you've got like, with the NI, you've got, it's like they're given a question or an idea, and then it just kind of like goes out like that, like just shoots out into different areas and different thoughts. And so, but if you ask those like lines, so like the NE shoots out lines, but then there are different lines for each, there are different colors for each of the ENFP and ENTP, so it can be a little confusing with the extroverted intuition to sometimes judge whether it's an ENFP or ENTP. ENFPs tend to be pretty much obviously ENFP as opposed to ENTP. ENTPs can sometimes get confused. So for example, if you were to ask, let's say we have two random characters, ENFP, ENTP, you ask the both of them whether, so like there's a situation where there's just a bunch of really poor people and they need more help than they're getting, should the government intercede? And the ENFP's like, these people need help. I see where they can be helped, and like the government has money, the money should be used to good use, and given to people who really need it. And so they're going to be focusing more on the bettering of people, the morals of things, just the making the world a better place kind of mindset. And ENTP is going to see the logistics of it. They're going to be like, well, think with the economy. How does that affect the economy? Where does that lead the government? What kind of power does it give that government? What's the government's job? Should that be its job? They're not focused on the people. It's not like a desire to help the people. It probably doesn't even pop up in their mind. This is just a random ENTP, of course. It's not going to be every ENTP, and it's not going to be every ENFP that thinks that, but they're not gonna think, oh, these people are in need. They're gonna think, well, what's the possible problems of this? What does it really mean? They don't have any empathy at all with the people. In fact, ENTPs, at least myself, I have a really hard time having any empathy at all to people I don't have any connection with, or just that I haven't developed any emotional connection. We went to Cambodia recently, and just a really, on the border between Thailand and Cambodia, it's just a really poor part of the town. There's children, like 2 years old, begging for a living, and people with arms like this thin, and there were a lot of traumatic things to see, and I honestly didn't feel anything going into the border the first time. I knew I probably should, but I didn't. I didn't have any empathy. I was mostly just focused on like what we were gonna do after this, like where we were gonna go, how was I going to do things. I was just daydreaming about that. I wasn't even thinking about the kids, and so meanwhile my INFP, and I know it's not ENFP, but my INFP friend, like that night, she was talking about how emotionally traumatizing it was for her to walk through there, and just how it affected her. And I'm sitting here like, I feel heartless, because I was being heartless. However, I grew really attached to Cambodia and the Cambodian people during that trip, and so when I was walking back through, it was a lot. I was actually able to feel things because I had that connection. There's a certain smile that the Cambodians have that kind of looks different than a lot of other countries' smiles that I was only able to see really in real life. And so I was able to connect when I saw the girl smile. I was able to connect that to the people I had befriended over the trip, and I had that connection. And so I was able to have like sympathy for her. Whereas an ENFP is going to see the idea of it all and be able to relate and connect with that and have sympathy for the people and have a heart for the people, and their heart is just going to connect with people much better. And especially, here's something, especially if the ENFP has experiences in their life that they can relate to them. I have seen this so much with the NFPs. So it's like introverted feeling versus extroverted feeling. So with the introverted feelers, they'll hear about an experience. Like I'll be talking with my INFP friend, I'll hear someone else tell her about an experience they have, and she'll be like, oh, I can totally understand. This happened to me in the past, and it was really, because they're focused on their emotions, there's like, it's really, I felt this way, and I understand, I'm here for you. And when someone tells me about something, my mind is, put myself in their situation. It's outward to inward versus inward to outward. And it's not like she's being selfish and looking at only herself and thinking of only of her stories, but it's just, because the introverted feeling, she sees herself, and then she connects via that. I love writing, and I love stories, and when I do that, I put myself in someone else's mindset. And so when someone tells me something, I try to understand what they're thinking and what they're feeling and how that works, and then relate it into me and say, okay, they're feeling and thinking this, now how can I solve the problem? That's where my mind goes first. It's not like I need to connect with them, and that's something that I've worked on over the years, is just being more empathetic. But it's that, so I'll understand their feelings thoroughly, and then I'll try and fix it. And so that's another thing with ENTPs versus ENFPs. ENFPs are going to be sympathetic and like hugging you and relating with you and just telling you it's okay and giving you encouragement. And sometimes that really bothers me because it seems fake. Like, I don't want you to tell me it'll be all right. I want you to fix the problem. But for me, when someone tells me something's wrong, and this was something I had to work out with my INFJ friend, because she was like, I don't want you to fix everything. It's like, if you've seen that nail in the head video, which I might post a link to it if I get around to it, it's like where the lady's like I have a nail in my head, and she's just like, it just hurts so much. The guy's like, or she doesn't say she has a nail in her head, she doesn't think she does, she's just like, it hurts and I'm just feeling this, and he's like, you have a nail in your head, and she's like, you're just trying to fix everything. And that's exactly me. My mind doesn't go to let me be there for the person. It goes to, let me make the person feel better by taking away the thing that's making them feel bad. And not everyone wants that. People just want you to hear them out and not give them escapes from their problems. Don't really understand it, but it's how people are, and I will eventually, hopefully, one day understand why that is. So let's see. ENFPs are world changers. They want to make the world a better place. They want to go out and be warriors for lives. So for example, my INFP friend, which she's really close on the line with INE, and my ENFP friend, both of them led groups at their school for the people who were always made fun of, or the weirder kids. They led groups so that they could come together and find friends and find acceptance and love and stuff, and they just loved being that kind of hero, and they want to change the world. They have ideas for it. They're thinking of ideas of how to make the world better. And I guess ENTPs and ENFPs do have that similarity. They both want to make the world better, but in different ways. ENFPs want to show more love to people, and that's like their main focus is just like that kind of thing. ENTPs want to make the world a better place by creating things or whatever. I don't necessarily want to make the world a better place. I'm mostly focused on my ambitions and stuff. But I can imagine ENTPs who are engineers and stuff want to improve things. I guess ENTPs might want to improve things on a smaller scale. I don't know. But it's just very different focuses. Let's see. I think that's about sums up like my main differences that I see, that I've observed. They've got a lot of similarities, just both very talkative, or can be very talkative. Not always. I can be, but then I can't be sometimes. ENFPs I've talked to, it's like, some of them, I'm just like, and others, they don't talk as much, and it's good. I've had good and bad experiences with them, and, yeah. As for myself, I definitely have ENFP characteristics in some ways, because I want to focus more on, I guess because, as a Christian, I have a lot more of I have a lot more F leanings, which I don't feel like that's necessarily like how it should be. I think it's good to have a good balance. So like I improve more of the heart issues as I get older, just with being empathetic with people and having a more focus on loving people and bringing light into the world. But at the same time, there's still stuff going on in your mind. So on the other side, you've got the balance of that versus I want to learn and understand the world better, gain wisdom and understanding and knowing the best way to do things. So I definitely have both sides of myself in my in me. I would say definitely just the main thing that separates me from an ENFP is where my thoughts go in response to things. So, like I explained at the beginning, I'm going to be thinking of more the logistics of things, the logical fixing of things. While I've worked out my F functions and coming out that way, in my head I'm still thinking through things in a T way. I think on how to fix things and how to just the logical understanding of things. And when I'm spending my time thinking by myself, I'm using a lot of my introverted thinking combined with my extroverted intuitive. It's very much the kind of thing you'd imagine an INTP would be daydreaming about, just thinking of, okay, this is true, but then this contradicts this, and this contradicts this. I hate the idea, as an ENTP, I hate the idea of relying entirely on my F function, or just imagining the world that way, because it's not reliable. I want to build my foundation on logic, and think through things in factual ways, and find evidence, and I don't want to be biased to something. For example, creationism versus evolution. In the Christian community, creation or evolution gets really bashed. Like, I'll just be hanging around talking and they'll just be mocking it. And I don't want that I think that's a silly thing to influence your belief that, oh, that seems ridiculous. So, like, there's evidence pointing to evolution, and so you shouldn't just shove it off because you think it seems silly. Not to start an evolution versus creation debate in the comments, but I don't want to base any foundation off of biases or feelings, and I guess like probably all NTs feel this way, is I hate the idea, and maybe just NTPs, I hate the idea of thinking that, or the idea of me believing in something that's incorrect. And so it takes me a long time to stash a belief into I believe this, rather than this could possibly be true. I have a lot of this could possibly be trues, and I have very few I believe this, because I don't want to believe something and it be wrong. I want to think through things, think through all the evidence, pile it up, just work through it, put it up together, see what contradicts this, and really continue to sort it through my head, debate with people, learn from people that way. And then, I don't think like an F. However, I have learned to be a little less heartless, and that F qualities aren't a bad thing. It's not something that should govern your life, but most ways of working aren't. You can't govern your life based off of your J or your P, and embodied life. Govern your life based off of your extroverted feeling or your introverted intuition. you just have a balance of everything and look at all of the options. And so I look at my low introverted feeling function, and I also look at my high introverted thinking function, and I try to see them both. And introverted feeling is a little harder to develop, but I still develop it even though it's like further reach for me. And of course, the ordering of the functions is not necessarily the order of the most used function for you, but yeah. But I hope that helps with the distinction between ENTP and ENFP. I got a little off track, but every bit of information is useful, and, well, the information, anyhow. See, this is what happens when I make videos when I'm tired. It's like the amount of off track I get and rambling just intensifies, and I already do that so much. But anyhow, I hope this video was helpful, and thanks for watching.